Welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. We bring you the right information to empower you, the SME entrepreneur. Tonight on the show, the Gamechanger conversations. First up is Akshaya Patra, and after a short break, we'll put you up close and personal with the Nudge Foundation. The central government in India launched a midday meal scheme for school children in the year 1995, and Akshaya Patra, a non-profit organization, launched its own program in the year 2000 to ensure mass production of food and midday meals for school children, particularly in public schools. Mansi Chokse traveled to Bangalore to catch up with Akshaya Patra to understand better how this organization works. And here tonight is a deep dive into the organization. Take a look.
In 2000, an IIT Mumbai alumnus, Madhu Pandit Dasa, founded a non-profit organization called Akshaya Patra. 18 years ago, they started with a lunch program for 1,500 children, and now they are serving food to millions of children across India. We caught up with the founder of Akshaya Patra to understand the working of the organization and the factors behind their success.
Mohandas Pai came to my office and then he said, Swamiji, you are distributing a lot of food to the people who come to the temple. But why don't you, do the same to some school children, so it will also support education. So I said, fine, I can do that if you can give me a vehicle as a donation to transport the food. He immediately agreed, and that's how we started feeding 1,500 children. But then within 2 months on my table, I had a request for more than 1 lakh of children, letters from different schools. And I didn't know what to do about it. And I didn't have the courage to take on this entire burden, because in those days, government program was not there. We are talking about year 2000. So the entire fund had to be raised as donation. Today we are feeding 1.7 million children all over the country.
Every morning, the operations at Akshaya Patra kitchen start at 3 a.m. Vegetables, rice and pulses are thoroughly washed before cooking. And all ingredients are measured and kept ready. Each cauldron in this Akshaya Patra kitchen cooks at least 120 kgs of rice in 15 minutes.
The raw materials come. We have the quality team who checks the quality of the materials and ensure the hygiene and various things. Then after that, the pre-processing part, like cutting the vegetables, those part is done in the previous day. Previous day maybe the end of the day. So next day early morning, it is ready to start cooking. So cooking begins say 3:34.
Akshaya Patra has invested in time and capital in creating innovative systems to expedite its kitchen's operation.
The technology has been has played a very important role for scaling this program. For instance, the gravity flow kitchen, which is to help all the labor force to picking up huge bags of rice and dropping it into the cauldrons. So we came up with this idea of taking all the raw materials to a top floor and then dropping it down into the vessels. And for instance, another technology that we really developed was a large-scale chapati making machine. When Akshaya Patra started, the best machines that we had in the market was about producing 2,000 chapatis per hour. But then that was nothing for us. When we started our feeding in Vrindavan, we wanted 1 lakh chapatis per day, at least 2 chapatis per child. And there was no way to do it. And our rice-based menu from South India could not be simply translated there. After a week, the children didn't want to take the rice. So we had to go for a wheat-based menu. And therefore, within 3-4 months, we worked with local technology in Jalandhar. We met the Sardarjis, told them, what we require, and really innovated a nice machine which straight away went from 2,000 to 20,000 chapatis per hour. And then eventually, today we have a machine which makes 40,000 chapatis per hour. I mean, that's never been in the food industry, this kind of machines.
In this kitchen, gravity flow mechanism is used to transport rice in pulses directly into cauldrons. Instead of gas or electricity, high-pressure steam is used to cook the food quickly.
The reason being we chose steam because if it is gas cooking, when you have mass scale cooking for like 1 lakh children we cook in this kitchen. So there will be a lot of heat generation within the kitchen canvas. So it is intolerable for a staff or employee to stay there with a lot of heat and work. The steam, the temperature does not go beyond 110 degrees. So that is one major aspect. And another thing, the steam ensures that there is no burning of the food materials.
Akshaya Patra focuses much on the variety and taste as it concentrates on quality and quantity of food prepared in their kitchens.
You see, first and most important criterion is the local palate of the people, of the children. What is there? For instance, as I explained, South Indian menu will not suit the North Indian children. So it's wheat-based menu. So to cater to the palate of the local children, we had to do some field studies and then understand what is it that they prefer, what are the varieties that they prefer during the course of 5 days a week, and based on all that we plan. And also we need to also integrate with what grains we get from the government. We cannot give everything that they might want. In that way we come up with a comprehensive menu which suits or which satisfies the MHRD criterion for carbohydrate content, protein content, vitamins, and so many different things has to be reconciled in our menu so that all the concerned stakeholders are satisfied. Taste is very important because even if they are hungry, that's what we learnt, that they may prefer to go hungry than children than take food that they don't like the taste. So wherever possible, we create varieties of tastes, even if it is the same item like sambar.
Food is prepared and packed for delivery by 7 a.m. every morning. Each container is numbered according to a unique batch numbering system and then loaded in delivery vans.
We have implemented a software to track the entire batch of cooking. If, say, there is a vendor who gives us the rice and that batch of which day, how much quantity of rice has come to our stores. From there, that batch when it has come for cooking. And that rice has been washed and started is in the cooking arena. And how much, what batch is used for which cauldron for cooking, which cooker to cook. And after that, that rice which is cooked goes to which school. So we have complete tracking of this from the vendor's door till the plate of the child.
At lunchtime, hot food is served in government schools. Midday meal scheme was launched by the Indian government in 1995. It is aimed at ensuring that school-going children from modest backgrounds get nutritious food at least once a day. Akshaya Patra partnered with the government and became a part of the world's largest lunch program. Various factors have contributed to the growth of this organization.
So we need two kinds of funds. One is the CapEx and the RevEx. CapEx is for setting up the kitchens. Today, a kitchen to feed 50,000 children will cost anywhere around 11 crores. So that is not coming forth from the government at all. So we need to get it from the corporates. Then we have RevEx today the national average cost per meal is 11.5 rupees, out of which 5.5 rupees comes from the government in the form of grain, in the form of conversion cost. So rest we have to raise donation, because for us Akshaya Patra, there are extra costs like distribution cost, safety, food safety cost, and cost for innovation, cost for standardization. All these things actually they enhance the quality of the meal. Not everyone appreciates. For instance, the impact of safety is realized only when something goes wrong. See, we are now at 1.7 million mark. Our goal is to feed 5 million children every day, and we are on the way. As I said, about 15 kitchens are on the planning board with funds tied up for most of them, which means within a year or so, we'll start operations in those kitchens.
In 2013, school attendance of children studying in government schools with the midday meal program is better than schools without it. Akshaya Patra is contributing to this trend by providing one wholesome meal per day.
Time for a quick break here on Game Changers. Much more coming up on the other side, including an interview with the Nudge Foundation. Just stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Tonight, our second The Game Changers conversation is with the Nudge Foundation. Give a man a fish and he'll be able to eat for a day, but teach him to fish and he'll be able to feed his entire family. That's how the saying goes, and that's something that the Nudge Foundation has taken to heart through its 90-day skill development and training program. It tries to alleviate poverty through its very unique model. I caught up with the foundation to understand better how this model works. Take a listen.
India is home to more than 70 million people living in extreme poverty. Although the number of extreme poor in the country is dropping by 44 people per minute, India is still struggling to manage a large population living below the poverty line. The Nudge Foundation, founded in 2015, aims at alleviating poverty by running life skill development programs for the underprivileged youth. We caught up with the founder of the Nudge Foundation to understand more about his organization.
Atul, thank you very much for speaking with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Very exciting to speak to someone who's in the social space and also to someone who's seen so much scale as far as growth is concerned in a very short period of time. So thanks for coming down to our studios tonight.
Thank you so much for having me here.
I want to start by talking about the Nudge, of course. Sure. You're someone who's come in with about 20 years of experience in the corporate side, decided that this is, perhaps not something that you see yourself doing for the future, but wanted to give back in some sense to society. So you started the Nudge. Very briefly, tell our viewers what the Nudge does.
Yeah. So we are a for-purpose startup, as we like to call ourselves, which means we have a purpose statement.
Okay.
We don't have a mission and vision statement. And at a very high level, the idea of Nudge is to actually work on poverty alleviation. Now, poverty, sort of, as all we understand, it's a very, very large, complex topic. You spent last 70 years trying to fight it, and we're still sort of a long way to go. Yeah. But I think that's sort of at a very high level how we think about our existence, right? We exist to alleviate poverty.
Sure.
One, in a manner that it doesn't come back, so the change has to be sustainable.
Sure.
And the second is it has to scale, so it is worth our time and effort moving into the sector and doing justice. So that's how we think about our work. What it means in real terms on the ground is that we actually work with the underprivileged youth, 18 to 25 years of age, who've had sort of school dropout backgrounds or coming from extremely poor backgrounds. And we try to build their capacity to lead a life out of poverty.
Okay.
So the program that we run, which is a flagship program, is called the Gurukul program. It's a program where we bring the underprivileged youth from rural parts of Karnataka, predominantly, and some students also come from Jharkhand, Northeast, Odisha, and other poorer areas. They come and live with us for 90 days. And over these 90 days, we basically work on creating their learnability. So literacy, numeracy, digital literacy. We focus on their life foundation, so life skills, financial literacy, and we give them one job skill. Could be driving, could be beauty, could be data entry, could be retail, and then we get them a job at the end of the 90-day program.
Okay.
And then we support them so that they stay outside of poverty for a long period of time, post-program as well, for many, many years.
Sure. So why perhaps has your program worked over say a government program that you would look at, like the ITIs. The ITIs at the end of the day is a vocational course.
Correct.
And like you're saying, we're a long way to go when it comes to poverty alleviation in India. I'm trying to get a sense of what perhaps you are doing differently, which is ensuring that the outcomes that you're setting out with are being achieved.
Yeah. So it's a good question, because if you look at it at a national level, Skill India is not new. It's been around for a while, and despite our right intentions to solve for the country's demographic time bomb that we are sitting on, we have not really seen the outcomes that we really need at a national level. Sure. So both in terms of quality of impact through skilling, as well as the scale of impact of skilling, we are missing both.
Okay.
Now, when we started, we realized that neither do we have resources that government bodies and global foundations will have. But what we really have is top talent, purity of intent, and execution rigor to make sure that the quality access is something we don't compromise on.
Okay.
So what we do is when we entered skilling, we realized that everybody was focusing on a school dropout and trying to do just livelihood training for them, 30 days, 40 days of training. You can't build a career on top of it. So when the foundation is broken, you start fixing the foundation before you build a tall tower, right? So what we started saying is that we need to actually focus on fixing the foundation of people, then try to start building on top. So deeper intervention, fully residential environment, a very regimented sort of ecosystem in those 90 days. Students have to stay up at like 5:30 in the morning, they get up, till late in the evening they study, there's meditation, there is yoga. We designed the entire program in a very experiential learning sort of models. We have things like karma point system, where students get 200 karma points when they come in, and at 0 they know they'll get fired from the Gurukul. So they have to self-manage their behavior in the Gurukul. So all of these interesting things have gone into the program to design the way it is. And the beauty is that when you see the students at the end of 90 days, it's a very, very different individual than when they walk in pre-90 days. We have 100% placements now, so every single student who graduates gets a job. It's better than most of the top B schools in the country. And then we also support them for various things after the program as well, which ensures that the actual outcomes are met, even if they are at a sort of vulnerable zone post the program as well.
So I want to look at the big picture as far as education, poverty, etc. is concerned in the social sector in India. PPP in most sectors in India hasn't really taken off. But PPP in the social sector is crucial. It may not have had the results that it has, but to ensure that, and you were talking about, you know, quality as well as scale, both of which are a problem in India, you do need the government involved. But to make it effective, then what perhaps are some of the changes as an entrepreneur in this space you would like to see?
Like you very rightly said, you need a lot of government participation for social change, because that's what the role of the government is, right? To run the country. And I think if I look at it, there is a certain value that a non-profit sector or social entrepreneurs bring in. They are risk-taking. You can bring innovation, you can bring ideas, you can bring the energy, enthusiasm, and certain lack of structure that is required for creative process. Government is not in the business necessarily of risk-taking and innovation. Government is awesome in scaling, implementing systems change, right? So I think that that sort of synergy has to be recognized and invested in. And I think a very good example of that is Niti Aayog's massive investment in innovation in the country through Atal Innovation Mission. And I think a structural approach to feed innovation in the country that's happening in the country at large, I think I would love to see a lot more of that happening in the social entrepreneurship arena.
Sure.
So how do you create incentives for the young Indians to actually focus on problems that India needs to see solved?
Sure.
Not what they are solving because they feel the pain of it, because the India that is creating is very different than India that
than
needs.
the Bharat,
right?
yes, absolutely. I noticed that for the first 2 years, you put in your own funds, you bootstrapped. After a point in time, you had someone like Nandan Nilekani, and then after that, you've had a lot of people who've come in and put money. My question is, did you find it difficult in the first 2 years to raise funds? Are there not enough organizations that want to fund social sectors? What was your experience?
Yeah. I would say that we have been sort of partly lucky because I started Nudge after 17, 18 years in the corporate sector. So there was a certain sort of credibility of having delivered and executed in previous roles that sort of carries with you. So it made it slightly easier for us than, say, for example, if I had started this 10 years back.
Sure.
So we saw it easy, but I think what we really struggled with in the early days of the Nudges, a lot of people writing us off saying that you don't understand development, you're not from the sector. And I think an outsider lens is something that we took a while to break, saying that, look, can we just talk about rationally the problems that we are trying to solve and give us fair inputs, we're happy to absorb. We were like a child in a classroom wanting to learn, and people sort of rejected the child saying that you don't have the admission into this. And I think that sort of we struggled for the first 6 months.
One last question then. What's next that you can leave our viewers with in terms of anything exciting you're working on at the Nudge?
Yeah. So I think it's been now 2.5, 3 years of our journey.
Sure.
And we are now doing 3,500 plus graduates every year coming out of our 13, 14 Gurukuls that we have. We are looking for a lot of people to come forward, both in terms of talent as well as in terms of partners to come and join the journey. And we don't think we can create the India that we all need without sort of creating a talent movement into the sector.
Sure.
So the biggest thing is that it's easier than people think it is, and it is far more meaningful than people think it is. So my appeal would be to actually have everyone come and join the journey and build the India that we all need.
All right, thanks very much for coming down, Atul, and I wish you all the very best for everything that you have lined up.
Thank you so much for having me here once again. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, that's our show tonight. If you have any feedback for us, we love hearing from you, so do get in touch. leadersoftomorrowtimesgroup.com is our email ID. You can also get in touch with us on social media. Sunanda_J is my personal Twitter handle. Tweet at us at LOT_ET now, which is our official Twitter handle, or Leaders of Tomorrow on ET Now, which is our Facebook page. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.